you know what's going to sound mad? Almost don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. When I go to work sometimes, people ask me what I did on the weekend, and I always forget. I'm not. This ain't me trying to say that I think I've experienced CTE, but yes, I know I've been knocked out like once or twice. It happens in the game if you play, regardless of your position. But every time I go into work, it's like, what did you do on the weekend? And no word of it, I sit down and go, you know what? Welcome back. In fact, a big welcome back to the X's and O's podcast. How long has it been, please?
Too long.
Oh my God. And not even to say, I can't be like, this almost didn't happen today because the travel was looking like a madness. We had to do one next diversion. I can't tell you the last time I got on the bus down here, man. It's been long.
Quick disclaimer, all of us have had COVID tests, will be negative.
Yeah. True say.
Yeah. So there's nothing to worry
before
about.
People start talking.
Government guidelines and all that.
Correct. But it's good to be back, man. It's been a long time. It's been a really long time. I've missed the studio. I've missed just, doing what we do, man. Making shows, doing the editing and everything that comes with it. So it's good to be back. So let's get into it. On my left, we got the Bronze Bomber. And to his left, we got Bam Bam.
What's going on?
And we're going to go straight into the topic today of...
Can't say, G, your dreads are looking mad.
Oh, yeah.
You know when you read
your dreads are looking mad.
They're going to be
you know what it
is?
Now, I just tend to play with my hair. Like, it's not even intentional. It's just one of them things because, like, it's just there. This is lockdown, isn't it? This is what lockdown does to you. Like, I had no choice.
So my hat
your hair is long.
This hat is not coming off until after April 12th. You ain't seeing my hat. You ain't seeing my hat.
Oh, man. I think I was listening to something during one of the lockdowns, first, second, third, I don't know which one it was, man, it's been too long, about, obviously we all know about concussions and CTEs, like, I don't know if some of you heard about the rugby union group of players that tried to sue the league. It was a few guys, it was a board almost, like a group of guys, and one guy was like heading it up, after they played for so many years, was like, you know what, I think we're going to try and sue the league because they've basically put us in this position. A lot of them started having things like memory loss, brain fog, temper issues, kind of the normal symptoms that we know about.
Even on when Fred Taylor and that are talking.
On I Am Athlete.
Yeah, you heard him saying, oh yeah, I forgot.
Crazy.
Do you know what's going to sound mad? I almost don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. When I go to work sometimes, people ask me what I did on the weekend, and I always forget. I'm not. This ain't me trying to say that I think I've experienced CTE, but yes, I know I've been knocked out like once or twice. It happens in the game if you play, regardless of your position. But every time I go into work, it's like, what did you do on the weekend? And no word of it, I sit down and go, you know what? I can't remember. And that I'm not trying to say that to be like, yeah, look at me, like it's genuine. But that was going to lead me to my next point. Anyway, the rugby guys that tried to sue the league, and I think it's fair to say they're going to lose every time. But essentially, why I brought it up was the topic of today's show is: would you donate your brain for CTE purposes, CTE research? Once our time is up.
I don't know what they'll find here. I don't know what they'll find.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Can I recall being concussed? Probably not. But have I had symptoms of being concussed? Probably. Like, when you're talking about remembering things and stuff, I'm so bad with dates. I'm awful with dates. And I used to be so sick of remembering stuff.
Yeah.
Like, in the group chat, I'm always saying, like, I lost my basketball shoes.
Oh, yeah.
My basketball shoes are in the cupboard. How can they be from my cupboard?
Right.
And I have no recollection of where I put them. And nobody touches my shoes except for me. So where could they be? And I've looked and I can't find them.
Yeah.
And is that down from being, there's been some tackles that I've read with my head? My neck is killing me. Like, who was we playing?
It's just when you were at X.
No, when I was at O's. I think it was the first season that we all came to O's and Bury was still in the league.
Oh, and they were dominating, yeah.
No.
Oh, no, back then.
When they came up. Because when they came up, they weren't great.
And then they got all the...
and then West Wind and all their
army
things
guys.
left.
Yeah.
And then after this, I think me and Harry Dowdle got a sack together, or a tackle for loss together. And I remember tackling with my head, crown on my head. And my neck after the game was burning.
That's bad, I can't lie.
Like, I couldn't do this, couldn't do that. And then Tinks gave me some Dragon Balm, and I put it on, and my neck was just burning. But I was able to drive home and everything. I didn't really have much of a headache. My neck was just really sore for like 2 weeks. And then you look at all of this stuff. Like I know I'm not the only one that's tackled with my head. And even Oklahoma drills.
Oh man,
How many of those have you been involved in?
Yeah.
And then your form ain't too great. Someone, you know, the elbow drops into your face and you're just like stunned. Or even when you're going into a tackle sometimes. And like, how many people inflate their helmets before a game?
do you know what's mad? I used to have, before I upgraded, I've had my same helmet from uni. So that's 3 years at uni. My 5 years at Connexos, and not once had I like ever. And this is the stuff that and we're trying to promote bad practice, but it's you're supposed to get it looked at. I think I'll even go as far as say that mine was past, you know, on the back of it was past the 10-year mark. Mine was held together by duct tape. And the thing is, I'm saying it, but there's loads of guys in the league who are doing this exact same thing. So like, I don't know, it's hard because a bit of memory loss is, putting football aside, is kind of normal. Like they say, as you get older, you forget certain things or whatever. But like, I don't think about it that much. You're talking about if you can remember being concussed. I remember once when I think I was concussed, when I the fact that I dropped the ball before I hit the ground tells me that I wasn't with it. I had a tackle from both sides and both helmets crash against mine, and I dropped the ball before I hit the floor, and I remember that. But I don't remember having like, some people see like stars. I did see like, how I describe it is like pins and needles, but in my vision.
Fuzzy.
All like static almost. But when I sit here genuinely and I think back to all those days, Monday morning after a game, and someone's going to me, how was your weekend? What did you get up to? And I go, you know what? I don't know what I did. I have to sit there. I legit have to sit there and be like, what did I do? So Friday I did that, which means on Saturday I did that. And then, and then I literally have to sit. But I don't know if that's us being paranoid, or I say me being paranoid about, okay, is it CTE related? Because the argument you get from people outside of the sport or other people who play the sport is we don't hit hard enough, or it's normal. It can't be concussion because we don't hit with our heads, or we don't hit like they do in the States. But look, a simple hit to the head, be it football or not, is still a brain wobble, and that's still bad. It doesn't have to be 100 miles an hour, like going at light speed into another player for you to potentially damage your brain. You could just be like, when you hit your head off something, it's still a hit to the head.
Bro, right, even when you're tackling someone, you see the head bounce off the floor.
Exactly.
It's just like...
And they're the ones that sometimes can give you the concussion, those second bounces off the ground.
I don't know what I'm more scared of. The fact that I don't know if I've had a concussion, or the fact that I might have had a concussion and can't remember it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I know I've basically said the same thing twice, but you know, like, I'd like to remember that I've had a concussion rather than, you know, and on the defensive side of the ball, and probably on the offensive side of the ball as well. It's like, in George's case, like being a running back, being an O-lineman. Like, how many times have you been in the trenches?
Oh my goodness!
And then your head, you know, like hit.
Or someone's jacked my head back.
Yeah.
It's something as slight as somebody jerking your head back or pushing your helmet back. That's enough to cause damage to the brain.
Isn't it blunt force trauma?
Yeah.
Like, any impact to the head could be considered that, because you shouldn't be having any impact to the head. You know,
our brain sits in. I remember after watching the concussion film, the one that Will Smith did, I think some years ago now. Our brain sits in. The space between our brain and our skull is not very big, and there's obviously fluid all around it. So the way they described it was, if you put like, or maybe like an egg in a small jar, every time you shake that jar, that's your brain basically. Like, and I know it sounds horrible, but one of the things they were doing was they put an egg in a small jar where it replicated the space between our brain and our skull. So there wasn't much space in this jar, and they, you know, shaking it back and forth. And what happens to the egg? It turns to mush, innit? And that's what they I know this is drastic, but this is what they kind of say, like, your brain slowly deteriorating. And when you look at, you know, you hear about it all the time. If it's not a documentary, it's a news case about a player who's you know, lost his temper or something. And when they go and decide to look at their brain, it's riddled with CTE.
It's like, bring me to the Chico, Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah. He's the youngest guy.
Didn't they say he had a brain age of like 63 or something?
It was crazy. He was the youngest. I'm one of the youngest people with the most severe case of CTE that they'd ever seen. I'm not saying that justifies what he did or anything like that, because we don't know that. If he did, we don't know that those details. But if you take it back to the question, like, some people, for some reason, it's like, you know, when you go and do a blood test, they ask you if you want to be a donor and things like that. Some people say no for whatever reason, religious or personal, family, and that's all good. But like, for the sake of the game, then let's put it this way: if you know your kids wanted to play, we all have sons too.
Yeah.
If our kids wanted to play, and let's say us potentially giving our brains for research purposes could go towards helping or develop something that protects players further. Being that one of those players could be one of our kids, would you be happy doing it, or would you not want that invasive kind of thing happening?
The thing is,
it's a tough one because
it's not even. I don't think it's tough per se. It's just I've never thought about it until I've been presented with this question. Would I probably why not?
Yeah.
I would like. It's not that I'm. The thing is, what's drawing back is that I will never know because obviously I'm going to need to be.
Yeah. You can
deceased
exactly
for it to happen. I would like to know what my brain is. What capacity, how much capacity of my brain I'm using. What they say your left side thinks more than your right side or whatever. I'd love to know all of this. And, if I could be a brain surgeon, if I had the brains to be a brain surgeon, I would love to, go into someone's mind, literally go into someone's mind and see what triggers this, what triggers that. I think it'll be interesting. And I think, it's a big link into mental health, mental illnesses and all that. And, I'd love to look at why a black man won't open up as much as he's meant to.
Oh, man.
And why, there's certain trigger points.
Yeah.
I was reading this is totally unrelated, but I was reading a meme the other day. It was like, when you're Black British, when you walk past a pub and you can't go into it.
Man.
I'd like to know why we can't, why we feel as black men, Black British people, that we can't go into certain places. I'd like to think, or I'd like to know rather,
it's like the stigma in the brain. Isn't it?
Why someone is more offensive minded or defensive minded than the other. I'd like to know what a running back thinks, what a QB thinks, and how certain things. So I think, yes, I would donate my brain. But as I said, I don't know what they'll find there because on the level that you look at it, let's be honest, British level football is not a high standard level of football, but we could contract the same injuries.
Oh yeah, of course.
Do we think about football as much as an NFL player? Definitely not. Do we think about football as much as a college player? I'd like to think that we do, but obviously we don't. So I think obviously there'll be more interesting brains to study.
Yeah.
But we take it to a British level. It's just even if you look at a coach, what makes a champion? What's the difference between someone that's always constantly performing and someone that can't perform to that level?
Yeah, what's the brain capacity?
I'm sure everyone, and it was mentioned in another podcast. It's I'm sure there is someone that has, we've all seen it, someone that's great in practice, could turn it on in practice, but when they get to game day, they just can't turn it on.
Yeah,
I'd like to know what that trigger point is.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, man. It'd be interesting.
I mean, we can take this into so many different directions. One of them can be linked to I want to say potential return to play of sport in the UK, and this is something that I keep talking about whenever I get the chance. Obviously, it's great that we can potentially go back and play. By the time we hear this, I don't know what the state where we're going to be in terms of the roadmap that BAFA have put out. But put it this way, everyone wants to play, right? Everyone's itching to go and play. Not everybody. Some people are I've been off for some time. I was going to retire anyway, or I've been off for some time. I've realised that I've got time to do this with my family, or I've got time to pursue this that I've always wanted to do. So I'm not going to go back to football, which is fine. But for those that do, I'm going to shout out Gridiron Strong because she put something out about this potential topic. It shouldn't be rushed. I know so many people are like, yeah, let's go. But those same people, have you taken the time to look after your bodies? And this isn't judgment because everyone's got things going on in lockdown. But just have to be vigilant that when we do go back and play eventually or potentially, the injury risk, which includes brain injuries and head injuries, is going to skyrocket, in my personal opinion. Yeah. And the reason I say that, is because a lot of us have switched off. We're not in the frame of American football. We're not on the frame of falling over and getting hit. We're going to have to relearn how to fall. And it sounds silly, but it's so true. Relearn how to take a tackle. Relearn how to make a tackle. I'm just going to put it out there. When the league does start, I think we're going to see a ridiculous amount of injuries. Because we haven't had the same time. I know they're planning to start the season later on, potentially June. But the steps that we would normally take to play, you start pre-season in January maybe, and then you play some scrimmages or whatever. We just haven't had it.
Yeah.
And I don't think people are ready. Some people anyway in that mind state for what's going to potentially happen. And I just think there's going to be quite a scare in terms of like injuries, and that is linked to head injuries too. In terms of, can people tackle correctly? Have they forgotten how to tackle correctly? You know.
I think I can confidently say I don't think there's, unless someone's been in the gym and been out on the field consistently and constantly since this whole thing has panned out, I don't think anyone's ready.
That's a good point.
Because there's only so much that an individual could do in the gym alone, as Paris keeps saying.
Yeah.
Before you can go out onto a field and actually be ready to play a game of football. Like, you could do all the drills in the world, as I was saying about the practice plan.
Yeah.
You could practice, but until you get into that actual game day scenario, game day situation, how ready can you be? You know? And I know there's all about the preparing and stuff, but I can agree with you, George. I do think that, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of injuries because bodies aren't conditioned. Like, I speak for myself. I'm not conditioned right now to be playing any type of football. I can practice. I can work my way up through practice. But if someone said, "Oh yeah, there's a game on Sunday," I'm not ready to play that game on Sunday.
Be there.
I'll record. I can make someone's game highlight film. Yeah. But as far as playing goes, no, and not because I've taken days off. Well, like, I have taken days
It's life right now, isn't it?
It's the mind. If the mind is not there, like, I never play football when my mind is not there.
Yeah.
I was telling you guys in the group chat, I don't feel the hunger. You know, there's a hunger, there's the itch that you get. Like, you know, that for me has disappeared because of this whole thing. And it's going to take some time for that itch to come back. You know, and for me, I feel like it's not there.
Yeah.
And that hunger, and the last time it wasn't there, I got hurt.
See.
So I'm praying that God, touch wood, God forbid, that it's not even an issue again, because you can't hesitate in this game. Man. If you're contemplating or reflecting too much in this game, you're not thinking faster. And if you stop thinking faster, you miss plays, you get yourself hurt, you put yourself in situations which could potentially get you hurt.
Of course.
And boy, it's a lot of thinking. For me personally, it's a lot of thinking in terms of contemplating whether this season is a playable season for me. Because if I've got like 4 or 5 years, I don't want to shorten that.
Yeah.
So,
which is another point when you say that even if the season is a playable season, I'm sure George touched on it before. Like, I'm sure we've all heard the news from Baffle where this season there's no promotion, there's no relegations, there's nothing like that. So I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, what is the point anyway? And you know, as you said, if you go in with that mindset, you've already lost. It's going to be very difficult, man. It's good, and I don't blame you that the hunger's lost. Like, for me, if I wanted to find hunger to play an American football game, I could turn on a highlight clip. And then I'm like, I want to play. Even watching Last Chance U when it was on football, and they're in their games. Is it Isaiah? And he did the backflip into the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, wow.
I
need to play football. But now I'm watching it, I'm just watching it as a casual. I'm like, even in the NFL season, it didn't actually feel like a full, proper NFL season. I know. And I know, like, winning is winning. Don't get me wrong. There's no asterisks on the Buccaneers Super Bowl win. They won the Super Bowl. If anything, it was harder to win it this year than it has been ever. So there's no asterisks on that. But it's just like, that's for us saying, go back to practice. And rightly so, you can't make any contact. So when's the first contact going to come in a game?
We don't know, man. This is the problem. Do you know what? It's the more I think about it, like it's really difficult for a lot of people, and I kind of touched on earlier. We have had so much time without it. When you have so much time without something, you don't forget it because it's a big part of your life, but like aspects of it escape your brain, especially when you find other things to do. Like, for example, for me, I've been doing a lot of sprinting, which I've just really been enjoying at the track, because obviously I can't play American football and I can't train with the team, etc., etc. And also, I think the manner in which we were just completely shut off, like, I think we were in March, right? We were like almost ready to start a pre-season game, or even the season. It was like late March, early April. I remember like going to training on Sundays, and I was like, okay, next Sunday's looking good. I'm ready to go. And then all of a sudden, no, sorry, you're not coming back. And everyone was like, a couple of weeks we'll be back. We're now over a year since the official lockdown date, March, and we haven't touched the field. Well, touched the field in relation to playing the actual sport that we love. So it's difficult. Whilst I'm saying, yeah, some people aren't ready and blah blah blah. Nobody can be blamed. Like Bam Bam said, you can't be blaming anybody.
No.
And we haven't even the other aspect of this is guys that are, and again, Bam Bam touching that, suffering with mental health. That people will be anxious to come back. People will be, things have happened during COVID. People have lost jobs. Some people have gained. Some people have, had children. Some people have done X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Exactly. Some people have passed away. So people are probably thinking, like, one, is it worth it? If the season is meaningless in particular, is it worth it? I say meaningless loosely, but the fact that there's no actual champion, there's no relegation, promotion, etc., etc. Will it mean that you might want to take a chance to switch to a team that you probably wouldn't have before? Will there be enough people to? I mean, they even said teams that can't fill the team in their respective division won't be penalised if they go down. Like, I don't like this word, but I'm going to use it. Everything has been so unprecedented that I don't even. Sometimes I'm lost for words. Like, what to even describe when it comes to American football? Yes, we want to play. Are people going to get hurt? Yes. Were they going to get hurt anyway? Potentially, yes. But just the fact that the way that the break has happened, the length of time that it's been, the lack of football, I mean, some teams have done quite well in terms of keeping their players engaged and Zooms and things like that. But like I said, there's nothing that replicates the field. No. There's nothing that replicates being hit with your shoulder pads and your helmet on, or you delivering that hit, or you making that juke. There's nothing that replaces it. So until you actually get back in that environment, onto the field, etc., there's no telling where it's going to go.
You know what's crazy? It's almost like the question is playing football worth it with COVID still looming around?
It's mad, because that was one of the topics that we spoke about early on before it blew up, innit?
And it's still
the same thing now, yeah.
Because if you think about it, it's like, it's just a big friendly.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I enjoy all aspects of American football. Like, everything. Training, as much as I hate training, I love training.
Yeah.
Friendlies, games, everything, the camaraderie, everything. I love it all. That's why I play. But you have to look at it like, still in the pandemic, things are easing up, yes, we hope. Fingers crossed everything goes as planned.
Yeah, Europe is looking kind of mad right now.
But, if it doesn't mean anything, what is really the point? Am I really going to risk, all of this for something so small? In retrospect.
Yeah, of course. Because some people will say, well, it's the fact that I love the sport, which is fine, but
it's difficult. It's very difficult. And to be honest, lockdown has opened up a lot of people's eyes where we can't really blame anyone for how they feel anymore, because on the topic of mental health and linking back to, like, would you donate your brain?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that were waiting last season and thinking, this is actually going to be my season.
Yeah, man. There was loads of people. I know people that I've spoken to personally as well.
Exactly. Guys thinking, this guy's moved on. It's my turn to be the number one. Number one D lineman. Or look, there's no QB here. Maybe I could come in and be starting QB, make this team mine. Get the rapport with my receivers.
Yeah.
And then for all that to be essentially being told, no, sorry, it can't happen. It's a killer, bro. It's a kid. It was that's gonna dent your ego. It's gonna dent your confidence. And on the subject of, like, donating your brain, I would love to look at those type of brains, thinking, you know what? Even time.
Yeah.
Maybe last season was the only time that someone was going to have to play.
Yeah, exactly.
And for it to be thrown away.
Yeah.
It's difficult, man. It's really difficult.
I think I would personally donate my brain. Like, I'm not going to be here. I'm not even going to be conscious of the fact that it's happening. Yeah. So, like, you know what I mean? It's one of them things. But I don't know at any point if that would ever happen in this country. Like I said, the kind of most prominent thing I heard was the rugby guy trying to sue the league, which I don't think they'll be able to do, because the league is a league, innit? I say the league is in the rugby league. But in terms of donating my brain, like, I would love to, because I'd want people to know, if anyone in the UK that we know that has played American football for the last however many years, 1, 2, because it doesn't have to be that long either. If it was to come out that was the case and it will factor within their brain, and we saw that this player, a Britball player, has evidence of CT in his brain, I think, personally, a hell of a lot of stuff would change in this country in terms of American football. Like,
you'd hope so, and I would hope so too. But one case, I don't think one case would be enough to shift it. I think there would need to be at least 10 for them to think, oh, something serious is happening that we haven't looked at as of yet. And when we look at American football in the UK, it's been going on since the 80s. So how many people, like our coaches and stuff, have gone through all of it and it's not been looked at? Their coaches probably have gone through it and it's not been looked at. And then, you know, we've got our generation and the generation after us, where we're all touching 30.
Yeah.
And there's a generation that are coming out 11 years younger than us, like 12, 11
and
years
they're
younger
playing,
than us.
I mean, they're probably not doing contacts from as early, but they're playing, they're in the sport from early.
Right. Adult level starts at what, 18?
Yeah, I believe so.
So what? That's 12 years younger than the average age here.
It's all very mad. I don't know. I mean, I would donate mine, but I just think it has. Like, for example, I don't know what country it was. It might be Scotland or Ireland, where they've banned heading the football for
it's all
oh,
grassroots.
You see, like things like that alone.
It's not that they ban it; they can't teach them.
Okay.
If it happens in a game,
it happens.
Obviously, my son plays football, so if it happens in a game, they're allowed to head up.
Okay.
But they can't teach them.
Right, to go and actually go for heading football. Because technically, it's still a hit to the brain, isn't it? I mean, I know it's like dulling down the sport, but until it gets to the stage where, like, again, I don't know when this would ever happen in this country because it's not something that they really focus on, although it's up and coming in sports, particularly like rugby, boxing, anything that involves blows to the head. Until something comes out in some kind of report that says these UK players in whatever sport over X period of time are showing signs of CTE after studying their brain. Until then, I don't think, there'll be much change.
You know what's crazy, just as we wrap up? You look at it in American football, concussion, you have to come off. Concussion protocol, you have to come off. In soccer, football, who was it that got the concussion? There was a goalkeeper. What was it? Is it?
I think I know something about
that. I think it might be Courtois, Thibaut Courtois, Chelsea keeper. He got a concussion and he refused to come off, and he was waving off the guy saying, I'm okay. Yeah. And it's happened to bare players where, a head might have smacked another player's head.
And they just carry on.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It might take more than one person because I don't think it's looked at as seriously as it needs to be.
Yeah.
Over here, unfortunately. Well, especially on amateur sports.
Yeah.
If it's not being looked at on UK's biggest sport,
then how many cases are going?
How would it even be looked at on a sport that's not even considered?
Yeah, I think it's probably fair to say that in the history of, let's just say, American football in the UK over the years, they have think about how they used to play as well, the stuff they used to wear, the lack of protection or thereof. There have definitely been, I'll say, a high number of cases of people that have had CTE and have passed away, but have not known about it because. Again, there's no attention to it.
Exactly.
There's no reason to go and study their brain for any reason. Obviously, things have started to pop up now. And I guess it's only going to continue. Like, if they're not teaching kids to head the ball, or now in football, as in soccer, there's an actual, you have to come off if you have a concussion. There's no two ways about it. They've got a concussion doctor. If you have to come off, you have to come off. There's no, like, being bravo about it. That's the other aspect. I mean, we haven't got time now, but the other aspect is guys that want to just be macho about it.
Yeah,
you have one life.
That's what I said. That's what I said at the beginning of the thing. Is like, how many people want to admit there's something wrong?
Yeah,
and I think that's a topic for another day. But just quickly, would you donate your time?
Oh yeah, probably. Whatever helps the betterment of research and keeps the generation ahead of us safer, I'm all for it. I think it's a massive.
Yeah,
it's important, and I think it's safety for those coming afterwards is paramount.
Yeah, I definitely would. I won't think twice about it. But, I mean, it's going to do good. On that note, we're going to wrap up. That seemed like, I don't know, some of you might think that was a bit of a deep one, but I quite like that, to be honest, because it's relative. Yeah. It's going to be relative when we go back into playing football, hopefully. So, thank you guys for tuning in. We're back in the studio now, so we've got more content coming soon. Make sure you keep it locked. Check us out on all the different socials. You know where we are to find us at X's and O's Team, and we'll see you soon. Peace.